mean, all of them to a certain degree, because I'm a fly by the seat of your pants type writer. I don't really have an understanding of where book 3 is going to be when I'm writing book 1. Like, I'm just not that clever. I have a rough idea usually when I'm writing book 1 of where book 1 is going to end, but in terms of meta plot, I have no idea. So everyone wound up in a strange place in one way or another. And I mean, the meta plot resolved the way I expected it to, but everyone else took a different turn. I mean, I was writing God's Grave. God's Grave was kind of unique in the sense that I was still writing the book when Nevernight came out. And so I was getting reader feedback about Nevernight when I was writing the second book. And so that in part influenced where I took the second book and where I took a couple of the characters in it. And so by the end of that journey, things had diverged quite dramatically from where I expected them to be. Like, I'm making myself look less prepared and intelligent than maybe you mistook me for, but I didn't know who the narrator was going to be when I wrote book 1. There was like 3 distinct possibilities in terms of who it was going to end up being. And up until probably halfway through the third book, I wasn't totally locked on where it was going to end up. So yeah, everyone kind of surprised me in some sense. But that's what I like about writing, when the characters start doing things that you don't expect and the story starts going in directions that you, the author, don't expect. Chances are that you're going to surprise your readers too. So.
And how about the new faces? Who's your favourite character from those we first see or perhaps get to know more in Darkdawn?
I like Cloud.
Cloud's a good one.
Cloud's the guy, there's a pirate. Actually, no, I tell a lie, it's Valdir. It's the King of Scoundrels.
Interesting.
Yeah. So have you guys watched Vikings? Have you guys seen the television show Vikings? There's a character in Darkdawn that I kind of based on the guy who plays Ragnar in Vikings, like visually anyway. And he's a thoroughly reprehensible gentleman. He's not in it for very long, but when he's in it, he's a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun to write.
He's fun to read?
Is he? Sorry?
You'll find out soon.
You'll meet him soon enough. He's not a nice dude, but I mean, no one in this series is really nice. It's just degrees of less bad.
So I know that you spent some time writing Darkdawn in Venice last year.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind Darkdawn, perhaps a little bit of the series as a whole, particularly in terms of the setting?
Yeah, the setting is an amalgam of ancient Rome, as in Republic, and early Julian dynasty Rome. So there's like 2 topics in the entire world that I can speak with authority about at a dinner party. And one of them is ancient Rome, and the other one is like Marvel Comics, and that's it. For the rest of the night, I just kind of sit there and nod politely. So I'm a huge ancient Roman history buff. So the structure of the Republic in Atreia is modelled on the Republic in ancient Rome. And the whole series started as a thought experiment about Julius Caesar. He, as you may or may not know, he was a very successful general who ended up marching his own army on his own capital and took over the Roman Republic and turned it into a dictatorship, which then became an empire. So Caesar is the first Roman emperor. And Nevernight started as a thought experiment: what happens if Caesar's rebellion fails? So Mia is the daughter of a very successful general who tries to take over his own country, and he fails and he gets executed for it. And so I was exploring the fallout of what would happen to Julius's family. And I also based the world aesthetically on Merchant Prince Venice as well. So when I was really behind on my deadline for Darkdawn and getting really... I'm usually a pretty grumpy person to be around as a general rule, but when I'm writing I tend to get unbearably bad, and when the book is kicking me like Darkdawn was kicking me, no one wants to be around me. So I kind of floated the idea to my wife, like, hey, what do you reckon I go away for a month to Venice and write this book? She was already on the computer typing. So I lived there for a whole month, and it's probably the most productive I've ever been in my entire life. I think I wrote like 90,000 words in the space of 3.5 weeks, because I had really shitty internet, and I didn't speak the language, and I didn't know anyone there. So I sat in an apartment or a cafe and just wrote all day, every day, and kind of dived in deeper and harder into this book than I ever had before. And kind of being in the city that inspired the setting of God's Grave was, super helpful. So I actually thank a few of the people that I met over there, and the lady who owns the cafe who let me write there every day. And that was the place I really discovered what the book was going to be, kind of walking around Venice in the middle of winter. So yeah, it was really atmospheric and really healthy. Yeah.
On that note of travel and writing,